Hey everyone, Metagross Freak here, and Stephen Baum 2 just finished up on Cartoon Network this Friday, about an hour before this video was recorded. So here are my thoughts on this week's 5 Steven Universe episodes. First is, by the way, this is major spoilers, so if you don't want to have these last 5 episodes spoiled for you, go watch something else. Sorry. I recommend the World of Steven Universe channel because it has clips from all the episodes this week. So, and I'll tell you the titles if you're interested in specific scenes. So without further ado, first is episode 58, Sworn to the Sword, where basically Pearl is training Connie how to be a sword fighter. Pearl gets carried away because Pearl is all, I must be self-sacrificing for Rose, and trains Connie to basically be a super altruistic fighter. And Steven's like, you don't have to sacrifice yourself for me. We're not, you're not my knight. We're a team, which was really sweet. We see a little bit more of the connection between not only Steven and Connie, but Rose and Pearl. Next up, we have Rising Tides, Crashing Skies, which is a documentary that Ronaldo made, basically as the aftermath of the Peridot Spaceship of Doom crash. It's kind of weird because I really feel this episode should have been like, you know, episode 52 or 53 rather than, episode 59. So it's been a while. I guess it just took Ronaldo that long to edit, but Garnet even mentions when the documentary's done that it's poorly edited. So I think that's really funny. And a little kind of ironic for me to even bring up because I don't edit that much. So, gobbledygook. Next episode is Keeping It Together, which is a great episode, which is, I mean, Garnet and Amethyst are there, but we really don't get much out of them. Pearl and Amethyst are there. We don't really get much out of them because it's mostly a Steven and Garnet episode. We see the return of Peridot, and Peridot's being adorable and Peridot-y. And Peridot was taking gem shards that were left over from the Gem War of Fallen Gems and fusing them to these chimera monstrosities. And the fact that they're forced fusions causes Garnet to freak out. She almost splits back into Ruby and Sapphire, but she's able to maintain her composure and turn back into Garnet again. So that's the biggest thing there. And so basically we learn a little bit more about how fusions work. They can be forced probably to our horror. And we also get a little bit from Garnet about how the fusion, like what the relationship is like, works. It's a good episode, and I would recommend watching it just purely for the ending, for the ending talk after they get back from kindergarten when they're up on in the laundry room area, because that's a really that scene alone is really great. Next episode is We Need to Talk. Steven and Connie are helping Greg out at the car wash, and they accidentally fuse into Stevani, which is great because we haven't seen Stevani for like 25 episodes. Greg flips his shit, and but he's really supportive. He's supportive because he knows about fusion, and he didn't know humans and gems could fuse because he was never able to fuse with Rose, and he tells the story of how early in the relationship, how Rose, Garnet, and Amethyst were helping him with a music video, and Pearl and Rose fuse into Rainbow Quartz, which is the first Rose fusion we've seen, and it's the next fusion for Pearl, because we still haven't seen Pearl with Garnet, but now we've seen Pearl with Rose, which is exciting. That's pretty cool in my opinion. And basically, she kind of like a even taller Rose with Pearl's clothes and 4 eyes. Not really that too drastic. It's not like a Sugalite or a Alexandrite kind of fusion. It's more like an Opal kind of fusion, where it's a more simple fusion. And I think that's because Pearl is Pearl. But it's really cool. We just find out a little bit more backstory about Greg and Rose, and we got a little bit of fan service with Stevani, so shipping. And last episode, The Friday episode that was on again about an hour ago was Chille. Um, I really don't get what that's a reference to. It's one of those like 80s, 70s sitcoms. It was on before I was born, so I don't get it. But they had uh, the gems looking for malachite under the water. Steven's falling asleep, so they go back. Garnet keeps going out to go look for malachite some more because Garnet can breathe underwater and swim through lava, because Garnet is just because Garnet's Garnet. And Amethyst and Pearl have a sleepover slumber party kind of thing with Steven. Which is kind of adorable. Steven has 3 dreams, basically all culminating in the fact that Lapis is alive. Lapis is able to keep the fusion together, but she doesn't know how much longer. And Jasper is perfectly aware that their fusion could be breaking apart at any second now, and she is pissed and wants to come after Steven. On a side note, we get to see a little bit more Pearl Rose shipping, where Pearl's dream is she's surfing with Rose, and Pearl's like, Rose, let's leave Greg and go travel the galaxy together. And Rose's face turned, and it's Greg's face. And he's like, thanks, Pearl, for fixing my van. And Pearl wakes up like, gah! And apparently Garnet's able to fall asleep in like 2 seconds. It was a fun episode. Kind of a little slow, but it was a good episode. So as opposed to Steven Bomb 1, this one doesn't have an overarching theme, but it does answer a lot of questions that we've been thinking about. Whether or not Connie is going to go into sword fighting, because Lion the movie we saw the beginnings of the sword fighting thing, and Connie's getting more involved with Steven in the whole magical universe thing, which is awesome. Rising Tides, Crashing Skies was more of a we got to see the pizzas again, which was kind of a cool little add-on thing in Rising Tides, Crashing Skies. But we get to see more Ronaldo. I'm not a big fan of Ronaldo, but he's an interesting character. We get to find out more about how Beach City reacted to the events of Jailbreak. Keeping it together, we get to see Peridot. Peridot is alive but got away, and still adorable. And we get to learn a little bit more about what it's like to be a fusion. So we need to talk. We get to learn about how Greg actually knew about fusions and how early on in the relationship, and we get to see Stevonnie again. And in Chille, we find out that Lapis is still alive, Jasper's still alive, but Lapis is barely able to keep them trapped. So I think this is a great week. If you don't want to watch all 5 episodes, I would definitely recommend Keeping It Together and We Need to Talk. Sworn to the Sword is a good episode, but it's a good episode. It has a great song because it has another Pearl song, and it has the first song sung by Connie, which is nice. But Sworn to the Sword it's a good episode that just gives us more backstory. Rising Tides, Crashing Skies is basically nice filler, and Chille is basically confirming, yes, Lapis is still alive. So if you really like Lapis, watch that one. But if you can't watch all 5, or if you don't want to watch all 5, I definitely recommend Keeping It Together and/or We Need to Talk. So, Steven Bomb 2, I think it was a success. I'm Metagross Freak, and I would have loved it if you could leave your thoughts and opinions on Steven Bomb 2 in the comments below, and maybe we can get a discussion going on what we hope to see in future episodes. Thank you, and good night.